They were all dead. The final gunshot was an exclamation mark to everything that had led to this point. I released my finger from the trigger, and then it was over.
Just ate your sandwich, Max. Jeez. I don't get this guy. You eat his pastrami on rye and he kills half the criminal underworld. Sandwich is dry, by the way. Hello and welcome back to Gamebox, the show where we take a look at games of yesteryear. And today, we'll be taking a look at one of my personal favorite games from the PlayStation 2 era, a little game called Max Payne. Developed by Remedy Entertainment and published by Rockstar Games. You know Rockstar, they made some other game, Grand Theft whatever, I don't remember what it's called. Oh yeah, we
you have a bounty on your head?
Yeah, apparently so. Why, you trying to collect it? Ah! Released on July 23rd, 2001. It was originally available for Windows, PlayStation 2, and the original Xbox. It was even available on the Game Boy Advance. It would later be re-released on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. There was also a port on the PlayStation 4, which is what I'll be playing for this video. So, you may be asking yourself, what the hell is all this? You got some guys standing in front of a brick wall looking all serious. Lame! Listen here, you uncultured swine, how dare you? Max Payne is the story of an amateur pianist who's forced into a life of gangsters and guns. Wait, hold on, that's not right. Oh, give me a second. Let me see if I can find it. Ah, here we go. Ha! I was way off. Max Payne is a man with nothing to lose. While investigating the Ponchalo crime family for drug trafficking, Max is framed for the murder of his best friend / handler. Now Max has to deal out the only justice he knows, street justice. And he will get to the truth, one bullet at a time. Also, he's on the hunt for the ones who killed his family. That will come into play later in the story. Explosions! The story is presented in a noir style of storytelling. Max will often chime in with his own flavor of narration.
He knew where his boss was, and I wanted to square things up with Jack Lupino. Cogniti would be moving fast. I don't know about angels, but it's fear that gives men wings.
Most of the cutscenes are in style of comic book panels. Still shots of live action actors with word bubbles hanging overhead. This was something that really stuck out to me as the years passed. Not only that, but the story does start off strong with the death of Max's wife and child. There are also tidbits of story that are not hand-fed to the player. These bits can be ignored if the player just wants to run and gun. The story itself doesn't change if you don't interact with them, but it does give insight to what other players are up to, and it does give Max a chance to narrate some more.
Ragnarok was Lupino's private nightclub, a den of drugs built into an old theater. I knew what waited inside. V-head junkies ready to explode in random acts of senseless violence, and Lupino's goon squad, the worst stone-cold killers this side of hell.
The characters that Max interacts with are interesting as well. There's Mona Sachs, a woman who is out for blood for the death of her sister, and Vladimir Lem, a shifty mob boss with his own motives, who also happens to be a thorn in Ponchala's side, just to name a few. Max Payne is a third-person shooter with a focus on slow-motion gunplay. The player can slow down time and dive to avoid most dangers that are thrown at Max. I will admit, when I was diving around taking down baddies left and right, I did indeed feel like a badass. However, awesome gameplay aside, one of my minor gripes with Max Payne are the boss fights. There are 3 of them, and they all act the exact same way. Well, to be more accurate, 2 boss fights and a mob rush. For the actual boss fights, the bosses acted more along the lines of bullet sponges. Now this kinda makes sense for the type of world that the game presents, but it did come off as lackluster. Max Payne doesn't have any upgrade trees, but he does obtain more weapons as the game progresses. However, I did find myself using the Colt Commando and shotgun for the majority of the game. The other boomsticks were left mostly untouched, though some of them did come in handy for certain situations. To me, the controls felt loose. Maybe it was the port that I was playing. but sometimes when I was walking, I would adjust to our analog stick, and Max would say, "Duck it!" and make a sharp turn in that direction. Hell, sometimes I would even have trouble just walking in a straight line. This was super frustrating, especially in some of the later levels that incorporate platforming. Oh, speaking of which, I hate the dream sequences in this game. Not in a story aspect, more of a gameplay one. It was here the wonky controls shine like a burnt out light bulb. In these sections, you have to walk a tightrope of blood. Not only that, but the jumping physics are punched up to 100, and it was fashioned like a maze. That meant if you made a wrong turn, you had to backtrack, making you deal with the wonky controls even more. But at least they were interesting to look at, and creepy as hell. Like having a bad trip without the drugs. The aiming in the game felt strange as well. There were times where I would clearly miss a shot, but the baddie would still go down like some sort of off-time stuntman. Damn it, George! The levels themselves were just meh. Most of the game does take place indoors, with the exception of the dream sequences. It's a very linear structure. The game itself didn't age too well, though Max had a very interesting look, to say the least. The game did crash on me on 2 separate occasions, but even with that, I still found the game very fun to play through again, despite the many deaths that occurred at the hands of dumb platforming. In the end, I would definitely recommend this game. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I'll go get a snack. Well, shit. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. I thank you for making it this far. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button, as well as that notification bell. While you're there, why not take a look at my past episodes? And as always, spread the awesome, and I will see you next time.